I'm going to call the meeting to order. I'm going to recognize our school board members, Alice Rivas and Beth Bristol, Jared Sund, and Nathaniel Matheson, and Taylor Bristol, all of whom are here tonight. Thank you for coming. The rules of procedure for the meeting are here, and they're always here, and anybody can refer to them at any time. I would like to ask if there are any new additions to the agenda this evening. Hearing none. I wanted to mention a couple changes to the agenda order. They're not really changes, but just we're going to be tabling some items for discussion with the complete board next week. So we'll go through those in detail when we get to them. The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of our regular board meeting of December 12th.
So moved.
Dick
Second.
moved, Jordan seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Good. So we'll just pass those. Under new business, Jeremiah, you wanted to talk to us about the Warren Group needing a copy of or requesting a copy of the grand list.
Yeah, I printed out a few copies. I want to just go over, what I'm saying. Sorry, I just got a new format, so I'm sorry about that.
We have, I think we've seen them in the,
You saw both of these documents, the document from VLTC and the Word document?
I did not.
oh, sorry, they were in the,
You got one?
I only saw the letter. I didn't see these documents.
Is it how many, there's what, 3?
Oh, they're all
This is just what I'm going to be reading off of.
okay,
so I figured
fine, I've got it all in
it's
front of
really
you.
just kind of for your information. that's
Okay.
So the Warren Group, and I believe, does everyone read the email that was forwarded out
Yes.
about the brief, overview of what the Warren Group. So
Yes.
they requested a copy of the Guilford database for.
Property owners?
Yeah, well, basically the grand list in all of the property record cards in digital format. Well, their original request was that they were willing to pay an employee to come in and scan the public records, which anyone can do, according to basically state law. So I contacted VLTC because we've never distributed the database other than individual property record cards. And then in that attachment, there's a copy of the email that VLTC sent me. But basically what the state's saying, what the law requires is that, first of all, the town has to respond to public requests for public information regardless of intended use. Vermont law requires information to be available to inspect. So anything that is public information, they have to have access to. There's no legal obligation to convert public records to electronic format in order to transmit. So it's not, it's not required.
It's not mandatory.
Mandatory, yeah. It is recommended that the response time be 3 to 10 days. It's been over that, but I've been in communication with the Warren Group through this, saying Guilford doesn't really have a town policy, and I'd rather establish that before proceeding. And she was open to that. Contact person was Linda McDonald. Essentially, right now we charge about 25 cents per copy, per photocopy, for non-land records and non-vitals. So that's kind of our limit as to what we could put in place for a fee per property record card. So I did out the calculations. It equates to about $317 if I were to charge for per parcel, which is the same thing as really a photocopy. And currently we generate this file anyway to send to the GIS company that does our maps. So it's nothing outside of something we create.
How much time does it take you to do?
It takes me about 15 minutes to do to compile the information to send it to the GIS.
Okay.
The Warren Group would like the information in a different format, but in order to do so, I'd have to hire a consultant to do that, our ProVal consultant. So they understand if they want it in a different format, that they're gonna have to establish that with a
With
different
Russ.
entity.
Independently of the town.
Independently of the town. The Warren Group, they basically do analytics for real estate investors. I don't know how they sell the information, but I mean, they're, now it doesn't really matter because anyone can request it. It's just kind of, you know, what do we want the town's policy to be? And so I was more or less suggesting that we just stick with the 25 cents per parcel for the database as an easy, but I don't know.
Do you have any information from other towns that are currently supplying the Warren Group with this kind of information of what they?
No, I didn't actually contact. I contacted VLTC. I've contacted another town, but I've talked to people that haven't submitted the information. They said that they can come in and scan it, and it's really kind of, is it worth making a company do something that we already do?
And would it take more of your time to get them the records and to
Well,
put them out?
we can leave it in the vault and they can just access it. The
Yeah.
real question is, if they're willing to pay somebody to come and scan all the records, if we can establish a fee for it, at least the
Yeah.
town gets compensated for our, whatever, our maintenance of the records.
Right.
Whereas otherwise, you don't receive any benefit.
No, I understand that.
On an annual basis, if we were to agree to do this year at 25 cents a copy, as long as that 25 cents, whatever that fee is, if that was to change, it would just be reflective in that amount to this group as well as anyone else that used the town for.
That's what I think is what that's what I suggest. But and I've talked to the town clerk and the assistant town clerk to see if they were, because this is kind of a fee schedule that they put together.
I got you. But they want it on an annual basis.
They're going to need it on an annual basis because they're trying to capture the sales. They could really, if they wanted it cheaper, they could probably just say, we only want information on properties that have changed within the year, and that would be a substantially less amount because we only have roughly about maybe 60 to 80 transfers a year.
But someone would have to establish that, meaning
right,
you'd either have to do the work and then
exactly. I'd have to run a filter and pull that information together, which at that point we can charge for the time. But if you do it on a time, it's very hard for me to it's not a lot of time associated with it, so I didn't think it made sense. Because you can charge, if it's outside what we have available, you can charge for the time of the staff.
Gotcha.
So I'm thinking that the issue is not do we make the data available, but at what price? And I like the suggestion of 25 cents per parcel record. And I think we should entertain a motion.
I think they have an ulterior motive for this. Some of it's explained, some of it isn't, but I say we need to get the most money out of them we can, however way we get the most money out of them.
Well, legally, that's our ceiling is the 25 cents.
Yeah.
25
Because
cents.
right now, we send it to title searchers for that cost. And if we were to go outside of that cost,
Then would be,
But to your point, Dick, I think you make a good point for the future that if electronic records are going to become a possible, I don't want to call it a revenue stream for the town, but as a means to generate, some revenue to prevent people from having, it costs the company a lot more to send someone here, sit here, do all that copying, and then leave. So I think there is a fee schedule you could entertain, but to Jeremiah's point, if we're doing this now.
well,
we have to
I
consistent.
keep it in-house, but I think there's a 25, which.
okay. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we would have to probably establish a different fee schedule for the copying, but
we'd have to do that across the board
across
in the
board,
future.
in
Maybe
the
we could
future,
have
and not in response to this request.
Well, I'd make a motion to accommodate, based on your recommendation, for the current time frame here at 25 cents a copy, because that's what we're doing across the board, for this data to be generated.
Thank you. Is there a second?
A second time.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Jeremiah.
Thank you for researching and for helping us understand that issue. I really appreciate it. So we have Beth and Alice here to discuss the Guilford Central School Board's invitation to a public forum.
That's right. So I guess it was 2 meetings ago now when the school board was looking at their initial draft review of our budget. And there's some pretty significant changes to our budget this year. And due to those changes, we thought it would be prudent to hold a special public forum to discuss those changes with the public prior to town meeting. There's still some variables that we're waiting to hear back from both central office and the state of Vermont. So we don't have the answers to all the questions yet, but we're hoping to by the time we hold the public forum. And so in our discussion about having a public forum about budget, it was brought up, well, should we invite the select board? Because perhaps they also have some budgetary issues they'd like to discuss with the town. And so we said, we'll come to the select board, invite you folks to come to the public forum, which we're hoping to hold on January 12th. It's a Thursday at 6:30 at the school. So whether or not you have business to discuss as well, you're certainly welcome to attend either way.
So normally we discuss the budget and other articles that are going to appear in the town meeting on the third Thursday in February.
At pre-town.
And there is that pre-town meeting scheduled for the 23rd of February.
Yeah. So we felt like the changes that we're seeing in the budget this year are significant enough to require an additional meeting for discussion and comment even. We wanted to raise public awareness of the issue, and so we felt that going status quo and following the same protocol that we usually do didn't seem quite right. It required something more, not just to raise public awareness, but to really, communicate and get the word out to
So
folks.
the purpose of the public forum is to explain what's happening
Exactly.
and to invite
Transparency.
questions so that people can get more information.
Yeah,
And a
exactly.
plus remind us what's happening.
Plus. Yeah. So just in short, I'll go over the two primary drivers of the change. The first being the BAMS, the Brattleboro Area Middle School Agreement with the town of Guilford. That contract or agreement expires this year, and so we're required to either renew or extend that contract. And the new state administration, in looking at that current contract, doesn't think that it necessarily would hold up under legal review. So essentially, we're getting a significantly discounted rate to send our students there.
The current contract.
The current contract. And we have a ceiling, a cap on what we pay for our tuition, which we're benefiting from right now significantly. And so questions came up as to the legality of Guilford being afforded this significantly reduced rate as opposed to what other surrounding towns are being charged. And so we're waiting for the final verdict, I'll say, on that, but we were advised to move forward as if that contract would no longer be in place and that we would be required to pay full tuition rate, which could impact our budget by up to $185,000. The second issue that's impacting us this year is a change to the law in terms of how we can count our number of students in the school. And as I'm sure you know, the budget for the school system is dependent on the number of students, and it's determined to be a cost per student. So although our budget may not be changing, if our student count goes down, our cost per student goes up. And it's that cost per student that determines our tax rate. So in several different scenarios that we've looked at, some of them our budget doesn't change. It doesn't go up. We've made cuts in other areas. Our tax rate will still go up because of this decline in student enrollment. And so there's some complexities around how we're able to count students, which we can go into in more detail in this public forum. But the real issue is that we have declining enrollment, and it's significantly impacting our cost per student.
So you've had a lot to communicate this year, and I know the school board has made valiant efforts to get this information out. So I think this is great. Thank you for letting us know, letting the town know. and thank you for everything you've been doing to try to keep the cost down.
Yeah, we welcome the town, and of course the select board to attend the meeting, January 12th at 6:30 at the school. We'll be providing light refreshments. We are gonna publish some posters around the town. We'll have it on Front Porch Forum, on our Facebook page, the school's Facebook page, and also we're going to, pull some strings with the fire department and put the signs out front to advertise it on those signs. So we're going to do our best. We would love to get a good turnout for this. It's really important.
Yeah.
One of the questions we had was the robocall.
Oh, right.
You're going to ask me a question.
I was
don't know
gonna-
the answer to.
Okay,
It should
so
be easy.
so we have a robocall system within the school that goes directly to parents of school children, and we were wondering if the town has access to a robocall system that would be more widespread,
Emergency.
and if it even is possible to utilize that system for something like
What we're
this.
finding is a lot of the older generation, unless they get a phone call or you knock on their door, a lot of them don't have computers. A lot of them don't get out to get the newspaper. If they're not getting it anymore, they don't see the information. And some people just don't get down to the country store, or, you know,
Sure.
so if we could get a phone call to everyone, then we know we've reached 100% to the best of our
Would we-
knowledge.
So
the
I don't know
emergency
the answer to
management
that question. I think
system?
we'll find out.
I do know.
The emergency
that we have
management
that.
system, would
Yeah.
we have that,
Yes,
or at least
I think that's
as
still.
complete as we would have
I
it?
think
Vermont
that's still-
Alert, we have.
Yeah, Vermont Alert, I think that.
But
Yeah,
a lot of people haven't signed up for that.
Right.
Like only
But
25% of the
But that
people
would get
signed
No,
up.
no, no,
more
no,
of
but-
a different
Get
variety
more,
of,
right.
a different
Yeah, it
variety
might
of
help.
You could,
But with that, if we had an emergency in our emergency management system there at the fire station, that's what it would reference, is the Vermont emergency? I got you. It doesn't, we don't have a town.
So I'm not 100% sure that we can't do this. We'll find out.
Okay. No, I appreciate
And I think you could coordinate with Peter.
Okay.
If the select board agrees that we want to do that. And I
Right.
will say that sometimes sending out emails,
Mhm.
people get really annoyed that they get emails from us because they don't want information pushed to them. They want to get it. So I don't know.
Seek it.
So you have an audience at the school of parents who want to know what you have to tell them.
Right.
Individuals in the town don't necessarily want to be contacted about town issues.
Sure.
Not everybody, but some people get.
Mhm.
I mean, there have been some. There have been some isolated negative responses to sending out information.
Okay.
So I don't know what other people think about us making that. Trying to reach out to people. It's for this public forum, but then it could be for something else.
Sure,
and
I
then it could
wasn't
be for
sure if we
something
would be
else.
opening a can of worms. It was just a question. If it hasn't been used in that way before, I don't know. But
I don't know if Danny'd be willing to part one of those big signs for.
oh yeah, like
Yeah,
what was at the
often-
end of Tater Lane?
Often
there?
he will
Yeah.
if he doesn't need them. He's usually happy to do that.
Okay.
He would put a couple more signs out.
Yeah.
But
We're-
you ought to put something in West Guilford because nothing gets posted over there.
You're right.
I mean,
Okay.
If the select board is okay with it, we could also post whatever message you're posting on the school Facebook site. We
Mhm.
could put it on the town's website
Yeah.
if the select board's okay with that.
Yeah, I think sending information and making just the information
Available.
aware, to me, that's the critical mass, even though I may not have a student in the school system as a taxpayer. I mean, it's a big piece of my
Right.
taxes, and I
Right.
think I'd like to
So
know
often we
more.
hear, we didn't
Sure.
know, we haven't
Right.
heard,
Right,
and this is the only way we could think
Right.
about getting the whole community to know is,
I think it's very
So
So you've
important.
got the signs, you're here,
yeah.
you're gonna do the Gazette, you're probably gonna do Front Porch Forum, you're
Yes.
calling all the
And
parents.
we'll have a poster at the country store
Yeah.
and the library.
So, and in the papers, the Commons and the Reformer.
Okay, we haven't done that in the past, but we
I
could do
would
that.
strongly recommend that you do
Okay.
that. And so that just leaves the matter of whether or not we can email, mail, or call people.
Right.
And
Good.
Yeah.
um,
Whatever you guys decide. We appreciate that.
Well,
Absolutely. Thank you for
thank you so much for
mentioning it, 'cause I
coming
wasn't
and
aware of it, so.
doing everything.
Yeah, it's
It's a time, huh?
It's a time, and of course it relates directly to Act 46, which is
Yeah.
what we've been working on, and you know, we weren't expecting, I don't think, for it to be such a glaring example already this year. We knew down the road that we were going to face this issue. We weren't really expecting it already, so it kind of is going hand in hand with the Act 46 discussion. So it unfortunately is a glaring example of why that's happening.
Yeah.
Who else will be there besides our local representatives to the school board?
That will be it. So we're going to
No,
host
so
it.
no
We're
one.
hosting it, yeah, we're
And
not,
then what they would like the select board to.
No, I understand that, but Ron or none of these
Well,
other.
so at our, it'll be, I would imagine
it'll be we'll have
that
someone from the other
the
district there.
principal will be there and somebody from central office will be there.
Oh, gotcha.
Hopefully Frank or Ron,
Frank or Ron, yeah.
Good. I would think that would
yeah, they
Yep.
would
be
be,
helpful for you. guys.
It'll be warned as a kind of a school board meeting, which they would normally attend, and then in
Right.
addition, it'll be at the forum.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
it.
Thanks.
I'm just gonna hang out for a few minutes. Just go ahead.
That's Troy's
Next,
seat. Can.
please keep Troy's seat warm for us. Maybe you want to run for select board. Draft social media policy is the next item on the agenda. And we had talked, we've mentioned this before, we've sent out the email policy, we've sent out the email and social media policy. But I'm recommending that because we do not have a full board here, that we table that until the meeting on the 9th. So unless there's any disagreement and you're all in a
No,
big
but
rush
I
to
think that's good.
to change that. The next item on the agenda is the social service agency definition. And Dick, I don't know if you saw this, I sent out an email to people explaining the issue at hand. The issue at hand is that during our budgets, we've had budget workshop sessions, we've had a number of questions about whether or not a request for support constitutes a social service agency item, or should it be placed elsewhere on the budget. Peter researched the issue, and according to Vermont statute, a social service agency, and I'm just going to read this out for everybody. Social service programs for which a town or incorporated village may appropriate sums of money include transportation, nutrition, medical, child care, and other rehabilitative services for persons with low incomes, elders, children, persons with disabilities, persons with a substance use disorder, and persons requiring employment to eliminate their need for public assistance. Based on that definition, items that have for some time been under the social service agency budget line, which should not be there, include Wyndham Regional Commission, Guilford Volunteer Fire Department, Guilford Free Library, and Green Up Vermont. So Pete and I spoke about taking these 4 entities and adding them to the others on the list, which are annual services to the town, including Wyndham Regional Commission, Green Up, Vermont League of Cities and Towns, and Rescue Inc., and possibly county tax, and lumping those under a new category called annual services to the town. The purpose of doing this would be to more accurately reflect how we spend money in the town and what we receive in return. And not one of those items fits the definition of a social service agency.
county tax would not fit because we have no control over what the county tax is.
We have an opportunity to have an input and to question their budget process
Yeah.
once a year. So it's not control, but we don't really have control over Rescue Inc. either. It is, the county
No.
does provide a service to the agency. We don't have any control over Vermont League of Cities and Towns, what they charge to the town either. We don't really have control over the library budget other than to say yay or nay.
Well, yes,
so-
we do, but, I mean, all of these items are up for grabs at town meeting, that people wanna get up and say,
Mhm.
so I mean.
But I think the issue is how to accurately reflect what we spend
Yeah, I
on
understand where
annual
we're going, but I mean, to
services.
say we have no control is not true.
Uh-huh.
The voters have control over all of this.
Okay, so, does anybody have any questions about this? Because, you know, it's comes out of all of our work on the budgets and some good research, so, could I have a motion to amend the budget accordingly?
I will make a motion that we amend it accordingly, as you stated here.
Thank you. Good.
I second that.
Second, all in
Yeah.
favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Peter, for looking into this for us and clearing that up for us. The next item on the agenda is our personnel policy revisions. Gabby let me know late this afternoon that she has a number of questions. And so I wish to table this to the next meeting, also for a full select board meeting.
Just for clarification, both the media policy and the personnel policy, the most recent one that is on the Dropbox is the most
On the drive.
accurate,
Yes,
That's
and it
correct.
has just red on it still. It has not been cleared, it highlights the changes perhaps.
It highlights the changes
But
and
the-
it shows comments that have been made, yes.
Oh, okay, so the comments still are on the most,
they weren't earlier today, but now they are.
Okay.
Right, yes.
it's confusing to know what version I'm
So-
looking at sometimes, so it's just, I want to, because I was, in going through these, I just want to know if this is the most updated one. and-
If you look at the
Perfect.
folder for today's meeting,
Yeah,
that is the most up-to-date
Wonderful.
copy of both documents.
excellent,
I
thank
need,
you.
I need hard copies of both of those.
Okay, I will
So-
provide that for you.
Generally speaking, all of the materials are in the folder as soon as they're ready to be looked at for the meeting. Sometimes, like for the personnel policy, after I completed a lot of review.
Yes, and
I
you did a
sent it out.
phenomenal job on
Um,
doing it
But
all.
what we want to do is also make sure, and I left in comments and responses so that people could understand what there was, what the VLCT said,
Right.
how we're considering
Right,
resolving the issue, or saying, yes, I totally agree, we corrected it, because it just makes so much sense.
no, it makes total
So-
sense, and I'm just getting used to using,
Dropbox.
well, and you know, how to
Drive.
edit and how to do things, and I haven't had, this is not my expertise by any stretch, so I've liked everything I've seen, both from VLC and Sheila. It's
Great.
my, and Peter, you had a lot of input there too, so
Great.
I'm trusting all of you on that, thank you.
So, there will be, there might be some more work, no, there will be no more work on personnel policy before next week, because we're gonna really
Okay, so
push
that's
the
it.
budgets through, because
Okay.
we have so much work to do on budget.
The budgets.
So we might have a discussion about it next week, depending
Gotcha.
on how, we have to approve the budget next week.
Okay,
So that takes priority over everything else for
Gotcha.
next week. Peter, town office bathroom.
So for the time being, based on some responses from select board members who are not present tonight, we're going to, regarding the situation with the town office bathroom, we're going to table that for future discussion.
Okay.
Likely after the budget meeting, because there won't be time at that meeting either. So
Yeah.
it'll probably be at least a month before we discuss that situation.
The next item is the bridge fund balance.
Yes, so we have a slight amount of, a couple of items of old business. In a previous meeting on December 12th, there had been discussion around the budget, and there was a question about the bridge fund balance. Because we had been putting money into it, and then some monies have been rolling over. So that is, with the $60,000 that was added in last year, the 139,000, Gordon,
yeah,
and whatever the remaining
160.
160 and
No, I
10
saw that.
cents is what the current balance. I believe you.
Yes, I was the
think
one who
you
raised
were
the question.
Okay, that's what I thought. Is you were
Yep,
the one that asked.
Thank you.
So that is what the balance is currently, and with the current proposed budget, there will be another $60,000 added to this. Now, this is the budget for
All bridges.
bridges.
All bridges, correct,
This is-
that's what Danny was
Yep, this is
stressing.
so. This Sheila and I also spoke with Dan about it, and so this is for all bridges right now. This is not for. We have a special fund for the Green River Covered
Correct.
Bridge, which we're putting money into, which we discussed at a previous meeting.
What's the balance right now?
Which one? The
Um,
balance on this is 139,000,
All right, yeah.
and that is as of fiscal year 2017.
17.
So, you know,
Yes.
But
It's
this
with
came
the
up-
addition.
This came up in relation to the next budget year.
I was just asked, thank you, Peter, for providing that, I really appreciate it.
Yep.
It was very helpful.
And I excuse me, I wanted to say that I'm really happy that we got the grant for the $15,000 every year for 3 years for the emergency
Yes.
operations.
Here's the final notification that we got it.
And the grant for this year is retroactive to July 1, which is really
Awesome.
nice, because
So we need to spend it, right?
we're working
Oh,
on
we
it.
are
We've
working on
already
it.
met with the fire department, and we had submitted a list of expenses which was approved to the state. And so they've approved it, and we're working on executing that and getting some other things up to speed at the emergency center.
Great.
So we have, for the next 3 years, $15,000 from.
Except for this year was prorated.
No,
It wasn't as full.
no,
Now,
Oh.
what are some
Yeah,
items
I
that you're
just-
thinking of purchasing for down there?
no, it's $15,000
Okay.
this year.
What are you looking at upgrading with the emergency services?
Radios, a presentation, like tracking information, satellite phones, there's a whole long list of things that we've looked at.
And who's going to be
Equipment,
responsible
supplies.
for holding them?
Well, there's an emergency operations center where
Right,
all
yeah,
of
I
this
know
goes,
that.
and so we've been cooperating closely with the fire department. So I'm the interim emergency management director, so I've been meeting with the fire department on a pretty regular basis
No, I'm just curious.
and working through this, and we have, this is actually not a select board thing, it's an emergency thing, so I'm just working, filling it out. So it's equipment, supplies, contracts, stipend. There's one more item.
I'm forgetting what it is.
That's fine.
That
No, I was just
remember-
curious.
Yeah.
No,
If you want to know more about it, you can come talk to me. I can give you more information about it.
Any questions about that? Okay, so the next thing on the agenda is the Wyndham County Humane Society contract.
So,
Where is it? It's not in here.
it was,
Wyndham County.
it should be WCHS.
Whatever.
So, Wyndham County Humane Society sent the town an annual contract back in the end of May of this year, and it was presented to the select board at that time. However, the cost of the contract was higher than what had originally been anticipated, and so there was some discussion back and forth between WCHS and the town. It was never clarified, and it was in all the things that have gone on in the past 6 months, it was forgotten about, and so they reached out and contacted us again. They are requesting that we, since it is 6 months past due, they would really strongly like the select board to review and approve of the contract. For this current fiscal year, they have agreed to, the new charges were to be $530 per year. Up until this point, it had been $250 a year. And the way that they assess their charges is not to make money. They actually make no money on it. And their charges are based off of the size of the population of a town, and then the average number of animals that are brought to the Humane Society from a town of that size. So right now, most towns pay the same amount, which is the $530. The main exception is Brattleboro, because it is considerably larger than most other towns in Green County. They have agreed to reduce Guilford's fee to $300, which is what the discussion had been previously between the board and them.
Guilford's past due fee.
Yes, the past due fee down to $300. However, they are in the process of sending us an updated appropriation request for the new year.
Couple questions. How many dogs have been brought there from Guilford this year?
Okay, do you have an audit?
Yes, there has been 22 brought there this
From
year
Guilford.
from Guilford.
Who took them in?
I do not have information.
That contract needs to state that the only people that can take dogs to the Humane Society is a dog officer or a police officer, not just anybody. That's the problem we get into before. People are picking up dogs and taking them to the Humane Society and say, this is from Guilford. We run them down, they find out they're in Brattleboro, Halifax, Vernon, so we're paying So that's question number one.
That is,
Okay.
That needs to be straightened out. There's only two people, only certain people can take dogs there. The other one is cats. We don't do cats. That's the other issue that came up. People were taking cats in. We don't do cats.
There is no mention on this contract of cats. It is
Okay.
only for dogs.
Okay. All right, yeah, yeah, that needs to be straightened out too.
So so that is negotiating the new contract. This contract is past due.
Yeah, but, well, the old contract was, the only people that take it was the constable and the dog officer.
So perhaps that says that still.
Yeah.
Check it. Thank you. So, excuse me. Is there a motion to pay the
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't think we can do
past due
much more
300?
than
No, I mean,
Hey, what's-
they do us a good service, I just don't want to be paying.
So I will make a motion to pay this, it's $300?
That is $300.
To get us at least
Yeah.
up to date with the Humane Society for
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
current year.
And straighten out the contract.
this one does have feline on it.
Second?
It's not, okay.
Second, yeah. second,
Thank you.
yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That was Gordon,
What?
Dick, all in favor.
Yes, I got it this time.
Sorry, while I choke here, can you can now do
So I needed to bring everyone up to date on the locks on the town office. It has been due to a variety of things. One, there was an incident in which the safe, one of the treasurer's safe, was found open one morning when Pete came into work, and also being the fact that the town office is due to personnel changes over the past several years, and there has been no changes to the security of this building, that we've had a locksmith come in. He has changed the accommodations to both safes and has provided those new combinations to the corporate people, as well as will be coming in this week and changing locks to all of 4 exterior doors. And with that, has strongly recommended that the town put together a key policy to have better control over keys as far as who has access to this building. As well as he's going to be upgrading all locks to commercial grade locks, whereas he's told us that all the locks currently in here are residential locks. So at the moment we have started a key policy, and we'll be getting it to you most likely in 2 select board meetings.
maybe just a procedure.
It may well be just a
I don't think we need
procedure.
a whole policy
Yeah.
about this. But
Yeah, that's what I meant,
Yeah,
was a
okay.
procedure, not a policy, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
So anyhow, so yes, they've been changed, the.
The main thing
safes-
is the vaults.
The main thing is the vault has been changed, and he recommended that we change the vault combinations on an annual basis for safety and security purposes.
No, makes sense.
and there's no key. There are no keys in the key boxes anymore.
Yep.
There's no key in the key box anymore. And Peter has communicated with commissions and groups that meet here.
Excellent.
I spoke to one individual the other day that said, I explained some of the stuff, he said, I might as well turn in my key then. I said, if you have it, they're gonna be looking for it.
Yeah. No, we won't be looking for it. We don't
No,
care.
We don't care about the old.
Thank you. Vermont State Police update?
Yep, so we got our monthly update from Vermont State Police. They are generally behind by 1 month. That's not because they're technically behind, but that's just, we just finished December. So they just provided us with the activity report for the month of November. And it has gone down over the number of incidences of people speeding and other violations has been slowly decreasing since they have started with us this year.
And they noticed that the number of the maximum speed limit was 41. In the 35-mile-an-hour zone, people only went 40. The maximum speed we clocked was 41 miles an hour, so.
Which
It's
is,
not as bad as what people are thinking.
I know,
That's what
yeah.
they're saying.
yes.
Because I know this right up here in the hollow, that's becoming actually was for a while actually almost offensive.
Yeah. So
To
I think
having
it's
someone
changed.
jump out in the road at you was really kind of scary.
Yeah, it's changed.
Yeah.
And they are going to be returning the speed cart down here again.
So, thank
Good.
you. The current budget status update, I mentioned to people before, Peter and I will be working on getting as complete a budget as we can for the workshop on Monday night. Because it needs to be authorized and warned before the select board meeting after the 9th, which is the 23rd, we just have to get through it next week, so. I have no update from Danny for the highway, except that I noticed that they've been busy during the holidays. This is the vacation week, and they've done a great job as usual. And I think they're probably sanding and watching it wash away in despair already today, so. And there are no excess weight permits. So, somebody wanna do Troy's job of warrants for tonight?
I move we pay payroll warrant 12/18/16 for $8,196.65. Payroll warrant 12/25/16 for $8,249.04. Expense warrant number 1712 for $51,007.50 for a total of $67,453.19.
Second.
Thank you, Gordon. Is there, were there any outstanding, big expenses in the $51,000 expense warrant? I don't remember anything. I think there were just a lot of little
I think
ones.
there's a lot of little things.
Yeah, okay,
As
fine.
number noted,
So, all in favor?
aye.
Aye. Thank you. Communications, I think we had one wastewater application
Yep.
for a building, Jules?
Yes, that's correct. It's Bill Jules. I have it here if anyone wants to see a hard copy. It's simply communication. Nothing needs to be
It's a-
done.
Yeah, and this actually goes into the planning commission, so they have it,
Yep, they have a copy of it.
Okay, great, thank you.
And that's just a notification.
It is.
That is,
Okay.
it's just something from the state to notify you that they received an application for someone who's interested in creating a new wastewater system.
Could you say, this is the next thing, we need to go into an executive session?
Okay. So I am moving that we go into executive session for a discussion on a legal issue pursuant to 1 VSA sections 313E and F.
Thank you, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dick. All in
And the
favor?
time is 7:12.
7:12, correct,
Yes.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank
See you
you.
later then.
Thank you, Alice.
Thank you, Alice.
Okay, good to
And
see you.
Nathaniel, we're gonna have an executive session, and then we'll come out. Meeting back into order at 7:35,
And
and Gordon,
we are gonna further explore and understand the issues under 1 VSA sections 313E and F, and Peter will follow up with the select board at a time where he has further information.
thank you. Is that it for our agenda? Oh,
It is. That's
would
what-
somebody
I'd like to
move
make
it?
a motion that we adjourn at this time.
Second.
7:36.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.